Viewers, today latest update from Ethiopia and Tigray clashes. Viewers, according to the sources, the city of Burayu, which is on the outskirts of Addis Ababa, has been filled by the army of Oromo Liberation Army Burayu. It is a land of master plan that reached Addis Ababa, which is the reason for the revolution that was put on the government of Haile Mariam Desalegn. There is a lot of anxiety in the country that is fearful that there will be no recovery after Prime Minister Abiy scarcely said different announcement from African countries and the international community. On the other hand, Tigrayans targeted in fresh wave to ethnically motivated detention in Addis Ababa. Your security forces in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa have targeted Tigrayans, including children and the elderly, with arbitrary arrest and mass detentions as part of an escalating crackdown. Amnesty International said today most detainees are being held without charge or access to a lawyer. The arrests have intensified since the government declared a state of emergency 10 days ago as fighters from the Tigray People Liberation Front took control of strategic towns in Amhara region some 400 km from Addis Ababa. Arrests are conducted through house-to-house searches by security forces with support from vigilant groups who check the IDs of people on the street. Detainees including civil servant, Orthodox priests and a lawyer are being held in youth centers and other informal detention centers across Addis Ababa because police stations are overflowing. The mass arrests have instilled such a climate of fear that Tigrayans that Amnesty International has spoken to are scared they could be rounded up anytime. Those currently locked up have not been charged or brought before a court, and many have been targeted purely on the basis of their ethnicity. Said Depros Mochina, Amnesty International Director of East and Southern Africa. The authorities must ensure that families are informed of the whereabouts and status of all detainees and that anyone deprived of their liberty has access to lawyer and family members without delay. The government declared a state of emergency on November 2, which was adopted by Parliament on November 4. The state of emergency allows the authorities to arrest and detain anyone without a warrant if there is reasonable suspicion of cooperation with terrorist group and to detain them without judicial review for as long as the proclamation is in place currently for 6 months. Some of the measures violate international human rights law, which prohibits arbitrary detention and discrimination in all circumstances. Amnesty International has interviewed 8 people, families, friends, and lawyers of detainees who have reported seeing hundreds of Tigrayans detained in 6 different locations. While it is currently impossible to establish the exact number of detainees, they number hundreds and potentially thousands. A few family members and friends have had limited and irregular access to detainees. However, many have been denied access to a lawyer. Moreover, interviews told Amnesty International that the police have transferred some of the detainees to places on the outskirts of Addis Ababa. Whereas two Tigrayan lawyers interviewed by Amnesty International said that they were expecting a knock at the door at any time by security forces and had their bags packed with a spare set of clothes. The United Nations has announced that its staff members are among those arrested in Addis Ababa, in addition to 72 United Nations truck drivers arrested in Samra, Afar. Since the conflict started a year ago between the TPLF and federal government forces, thousands of people have been killed and more than 2 million forced from their homes. Parties to the conflict have been responsible for war crimes and horrific human rights abuses, including widespread rape and sexual violence and massacres of unarmed civilians. The Ethiopian government must immediately and ethnically The Ethiopian government must immediately end ethnically motivated arbitrary arrest and aimed the state of emergency proclamation to bring it in line with international law. And viewers, according to the sources, Tigrayans evicted and rounded up in fresh wave of crackdown. Security forces in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa have targeted Tigrayans, including children and the elderly, with arbitrary arrests and mass detention as part of an escalating crackdown. Viewers, Getachew said that the Biden administration is designating Eritrean entities and individuals in connection with the ongoing violence in Tigray, Ethiopia. Is commendable as it at least recognizes the Eritreans' role in the genocidal campaign in Tigray. I am wondering through if the United States understands well. The Eritreans have perfected evading sanctions or the effects thereof into an art form. A well collaborated follow up regime is a must if the United States is to avoid being second guessed of for being decisive in to take its own threat seriously. Well for us here. So viewers, this is the latest update about it. For more latest report, please subscribe my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.